Hey, folks, welcome to the third hour of American Agenda. I'm Bob Sellers.
And I'm Heather Childers. We're joined today by our family of co-hosts. New Jersey 101.5 radio host Bill Spadia, along with attorney and Democratic strategist Kelly Hyman, and co-chair at Project 21 and host of Stacey on the Right, Stacey Washington. Thank you all for joining us for this hour. You know, the Democrats, a lot of folks saying they moved extremely quickly to draft articles of impeachment against the president without a hearing. And they rallied the House to vote within just a few days. So the question is, was this all just political theater, or was President Trump's impeachment, in fact, justified? And now let's bring up our panel to discuss and begin with Bill. What do you think?
I think that the minute you heard them talk about the words, quote, fight like hell, as an impeachable offense, how many of us in politics would be in trouble today if you couldn't say that? The whole thing, as you said, Heather, it's totally political theater. I mean, there are now at least 2 speeches that the president gave and videos that were put out on social media and subsequently taken down that have him talking about peaceful protests, telling people to calm down, go home. You know, the problem is that the Democrats have conflated a few criminal acts and have used that to label all the peaceful protests as violent. And then they went a step further and said, okay, now it rises to the level of insurgency. Oh my God, President Trump wants to overthrow his own government and never leave power. I think someone should tell the Democrats they take over next week. And you know what? This is about politics. I think they're worried about President Trump and the fact that he got, what, 75, 80 million votes? And there are a lot of people that are going to want to see him run again in 4 years. So this is the desperation of the Democrats to shut this down and ruin this man. It is a witch hunt. It's disgusting. It's using the Constitution against an incumbent president and 80 million people out there that support him. Really shameless.
Kelly, you are a Democrat up today, so respond to that.
Well, there's a lot to respond to, Heather. It's first off, it's not a witch hunt. People should be held accountable for their own actions. President Trump incited the people. They went into the Capitol. They broke in. The people that were there were fearing for their life, and people need to be accountable. And we have to remember when the hearings happened, we had a bipartisan. There were Republicans that supported impeaching Trump. And even there's allegations that Mitch McConnell potentially will support impeaching Trump when it brought forth in the Senate. So we're going to have to see what happens with that.
But, Kelly, fair enough, though, he did say he wasn't sure how he was going to vote. Don't you think Mitch McConnell's playing politics, too?
I think Mitch McConnell wants to save the Republican Party from Trump. And so I think that's one of the reasons why he knows, and that's one of the reasons why the Republicans lost Georgia.
Stacey, I don't know about needing Mitch McConnell to save the Republican Party. We had a poll out earlier today by Axios. It says 57% of Republicans would vote for President Trump in 2024. So what do you think about what Kelly had to say?
Well, let's be real here. We don't need saving from President Trump. He is the Republican Party. He's still the de facto head of the Republican Party. No matter what vote Mitch McConnell takes, he can't erase the fact that this president has a legacy. And the FBI just basically exonerated the president because there was a lot of pre-planning for what happened on the 6th. So pre-planning indicates that people came there determined to riot and breach the Capitol before they heard a word President Trump had to say. So we've always been the law and order party. We've always advocated for peace. And what I would like to see is Democrats like our good friend here on this screen with me. I'd like to see you guys acknowledge that we're still human beings. We shouldn't be canceled, that we can still be on social media, that we still have a voice in this country. There are 75 million of us, 88 million followers on Twitter, untold millions on Facebook. We've all been deplatformed away from hearing from President Trump, and that's not right. And I'm looking for Democrats of good conscience to assure people like me and Bill that we're still a part of this country, that my service in the Air Force, my father's, my grandfather's, my great-grandfathers, that regardless of our political party, we're still a part of this country.
So you got that, Kelly? Put us all back on social media right now.
No problem. Absolutely. No, absolutely. I believe in democracy, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or independent, and voice should be heard. Absolutely. I think that's very important.
Bob?
Yeah. One of the things about this impeachment is, was it planned? the effort to attack the Capitol, or was it incited by the president's words? It's almost like you can't have it both ways. And we know that really this was about Democrats that didn't like the president, and they took this opportunity to go after him. And because they said he incited this riot, and then they said that the riot was planned. Those words from President-elect Biden saying it was planned. Well, was it planned or was it incited? Now, if you can find information elsewhere that the president was involved with planning this, okay, that's another issue. But you can't have it both ways. Right, Bill?
Well, not only that, Bob, but, I was going to ask you, where's their evidence? They have two videos that the president put out, one that was taken off of social media. You can't find the president anywhere on the internet. And if he incited a riot, you would think their best evidence would be to run that on a loop constantly, reminding the American people that the president was complicit. But instead, it's so Orwellian. You've got the president calling for a peaceful protest, and then the Democrats and their shills in the media backing it up, nobody playing what the president actually said. And I think that's the biggest problem here.
Yeah, and you can't go on the internet, as you said, anywhere and find it because they've censored it and taken it all off. Stacey, one of the other troubling things that I've seen in the days following, the peaceful rally and then the riots and the impeachment is just the anger on social media that is just directed at this point to one side. You have commentators on CNN comparing President Trump to Osama bin Laden, and that seemingly being just fine. You have commentators saying that all of President Trump's supporters are, by association, members of the KKK. It's really gotten out of control, and it's kind of reversed at this point when you want to talk about incitement and violence and violent rhetoric.
Well, and can I just say, I see a lot of fear here, but it's not on the side of Republicans. I mean, obviously, we're concerned about being deplatformed or having our websites taken off of the internet. I have a good friend, his last name's Buchanan. He was on Fox last night talking about losing his job. He's 20 years old. He was one of the people who worked on coalitions with us all summer long for the Trump campaign. He got a new job, a client-facing job. They found out he once worked for Trump, and he was fired on his first day. So, he's planning on paying rent with this money he's going to earn. Now he's got to figure something else out. And then there's the continual asking, if you are on social media, the first thing a liberal in your timeline will say is, where is her website, the actual servers for your website hosted? Who's hosting this program? They want to eliminate our ability to get server space and cloud access so that we can do the same things that they're doing, which is running a business and paying mortgage and all of that. And Maxine Waters said something that I found fascinating. I aired it on my program on Sirius last night. She said, these people, we don't want them. Trump basically ruling over them from the private sector and them running all over the country, causing mayhem. They're afraid we're going to do the same thing to them, 75 million of us, that they did to us last summer with the Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots. They think we're going to go burn this country to the ground because our guy lost. So whatever your feeling is on the election fraud, we have not had an opportunity to air those concerns. And people are upset, but we're not those people. We're not going to burn America down. So I don't know why they're afraid of that. But it tells us where their mind is and why there's such an effort to re-educate us, take away our
we're going to talk
living.
Yeah, we're going to talk much more about this coming up throughout the hour. But in the meantime, head on over to Newsmax.com for the latest news and insight, including how President-elect Biden's attempt to undo President Trump's legacy will likely harm the economy. And that's only on Newsmax.com. Check it out. And coming up, we'll be back with more of American Agenda after this.
The Wall Street Wrap is presented by Interactive Brokers, the professional's gateway to the world's markets. Start investing today.
Hey folks, stocks lower on the day. The Dow down by 68, the Nasdaq off 16. Now Wall Street is waiting on the Biden proposal to address problems from the pandemic. This comes as the deficit from December is shown to be much higher than last year. First-time claims for unemployment jumped last week to 965,000. Leisure and hospitality workers bearing the brunt of the job losses as many restaurants and bars have been closed down recently. Tesla is being asked by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to recall 158,000 of their cars because their touchscreens could be defective and cause safety risks. Tesla is up about 20% in just the first 2 weeks of this year. Last year was up 660%. JP Morgan says it's trading on speculation, not earnings. Petco went public today and shares are up 61%. The pet supply retailer has almost 1,500 stores, some of them with veterinarians. Its stock symbol is WOOF, Wolf. Space stocks are up because there's a new space ETF you can invest in. ARK Invest plans to add a space exploration ETF that has sent space stocks, well, soaring. Virgin Galactic, Maxar Tech, Global Star, a bunch of them, all to invest in space. And that's the Wall Street Wrap.